Yo, what's up YouTube? It's your boy, Brennan Wolf, back with a new matchup guide, and it's going to be Fiora versus Aatrox. So, obviously Aatrox, very popular pick, and a lot of people would say that it's Fiora favored. I'd say this is more of a skill matchup, and you'll start to notice it a lot more as you get into higher elo as well.
Are you sure about that?
For the most part, you always want to run Ignite, because Aatrox is going to run Ignite. Well, look at the runes here that I'm taking. I'm taking Conquer, Presence of Mind, Alacrity, Last Stand, Conditioning, and Overgrowth, but I also think that you can take Bone Plating, and that's really good as well. And we will look at Aatrox's runes here. So he's got Conquer, Triumph, Tenacity, Last Stand, Bone Plating, and Revitalize, which is quite common, quite standard with Conquer and Ignite. And usually we're running Ignite because we're going to match the enemy's Ignite. I really advise taking Ignite into this lane because it's very hard to get the kill when he has a lot of healing. Especially an ulti, and running teleport and then him having ignite makes this lane almost impossible. So we definitely want to take that. And so what we're actually going to be looking for, and something that's a little bit interesting, is this lane is it reminds me of the Riven lane. There's one real thing that we're looking for, and we keep in mind that he's got 4 different abilities that you can parry, all 3 different types of the Q, and then his W as well. But there's one thing that we always got to watch for, and that's his E. Basically, let's say you slide parry into his second Q, and you get a stun. Well, if he's got his E, then he can just get away. At level 3, he's actually diveable if you can get some favorable trades off, and you have Ignite. Here, and obviously with Aatrox having Bone Plating, we always want to proc that before we go in for any type of huge trade or all-in. We never want to fight him when he has the Bone Plating. Just go ahead and throw a Q at him, knock that Bone Plating off. This is one of those lanes where I highly recommend having the toolkit up. So when you click on the champion, when you left-click a champion, you'll see the toolkit in the top left corner, and you can see the Bone Plating cooldown and those types of things. So here, right here, we see this is a slide parry, and we get the stun. I like to I use my Ignite quite often. It's got a low cooldown, and even if I know I can't get the kill, putting out the Ignite puts a lot of pressure on. So we'll notice he goes for it. We get the slide parry off, and I'm not trying to kill him here. I'm just trying to force him under tower. But notice how after we slide parried into him, we got the stun, he used his E and his Q backwards. So then we don't have parry, and he can just E, Q backwards, and he can stun you, and then you won't be able to catch him. Another thing is, you got to keep in mind, in the early levels, when we look at like ulti, the Duelist Dance move speed is increased to 30%, right? But he gets 60% move speed decaying over 10 seconds. So typically, if you stun the Aatrox and he still has his E up, he can just ult and run away from you, and you can't keep up even in ulti. So we're always looking for that E, his little dash. And it's got a pretty low cooldown at 9 seconds, but once he uses it, then we know that we can go in. And obviously, as he levels up and he buys whatever he buys, it might have some CDR on it, which is going to lower the cooldown. But him using his E forward to hit you with a Q, that is your green light. That is the biggest mistake an Aatrox can make into Fiora, is using the E forward to try to hit a Q when she has parry up. Because then if you hit the stun, then he's dead for sure. So we're looking for the dive. Give it a shot. We don't get it. That's fine. We gave it a try. It's always good to try to build up that wave, and if you know that jungler's not on your side, which Evelyn is not, she's down here because we know that he started up here, then it's worth it to give it a shot, try and dive. Because if you can get a lead in this lane, the reason it's more of a skill matchup is because whoever gets that first kill is typically going to snowball, and you'll find that quite common in lanes against Fiora, like against Jax and Darius, Riven, those types of champions. Whoever gets that first kill is typically going to outscale the other one. So it's very important. If you can get that first kill and make him lose XP at level 3, then you can definitely take over the game. So we're putting a lot of pressure on him because we just saw Evelyn gank bot lane. So now we're just holding this wave. We want to force him. We're always standing on top of the minions. A really good thing that you can do is actually stand on top of cannon minions when you know that he has to try and get it, just like that, right? But now notice how he's got Bone Plating. So we hit that and he's got Bone Plating, and we can't kill him because it absorbs too much damage, especially in the lower levels. So that's a mistake, right? We need to proc that Bone Plating and make sure that we're keeping track of the cooldowns in the top left corner in the champion toolkit. Make sure that he's got it down, because if he didn't have Bone Plating there, he would die. So once again, we're trying to get this kill. I think that he thought he was going to live. I'm not too sure. That definitely was I do remember that because this was a game on the stream, and that was a very interesting play that he made. But basically, now that we have the 1 kill, now we can go ahead and look to actually snowball the lane. You'll notice the CS difference as well, and that was the reason I was staying in lane even though I was very low, is because I had the pressure and he did not. So we're forcing him to farm under tower, but it's very hard for Aatrox to farm under tower in the early levels. So if we can build up big waves and put it under the tower, he's definitely going to fall behind. Also in this lane, I really like to build Gore Drinker for the CDR and for the faster vitals, faster ultis. The CDR on Gore Drinker in this lane is very valuable because we can basically weave in and out and hitting the vitals, but avoid his Q, especially if we don't have parry up. We can avoid his Q with our dash, and we have a low CDR when we go Gore Drinker, and that scales up because of the Mythic passive. And it allows us to basically not need our parry all the time. We can use our Q to dodge his Qs, and we got a little bit more movement, a little bit more mobility. So it definitely opens up more avenues and windows to go for kills and feel safer. And you notice we're really just trying to work him down. We're just hitting the vitals. We're hitting the vitals, we're backing up. We're not going for anything too crazy, especially with this bigger minion wave. In the lower levels, those casters will just melt you. You know, if all 5 of those target you and they go for you, they're going to take about 70, 80 HP every time. And we don't even go for it, right? We just back away, and that's all right. We got his Ignite out, but we know that we're still safe to farm into the tower. It's very hard for Aatrox to dive you, especially if you have parry up. If you don't have parry up, if I did not have parry up and I only have this much HP, I should leave. I should just back, just recall, don't make the mistake. I have parry up right now, so I know that I'm safe. If he tries to dive me, he's just going to die. We can look for any type of Q that'll keep him in range, which we do. He uses his E forward, biggest mistake, right? So that's our green light, and we just go for it. So he uses that E forward, and he pays for it. So E forward, slide parry in, and that's another kill. So at this point, this game is basically ours, right? We would have to make a pretty big mistake to lose this lane. Oh, by the way, this is a fun little trick for you guys if you guys didn't know this. So if you don't think your wave is going to hit and it's going to become really close where the casters are out of range, because you want your melees to actually touch the tower. You want your melees to be hitting the tower for the wave to crash. And if they get caught like right here, let's say, by enemy minion wave, then your casters will actually stay there and they'll float there, which will allow him to get more XP and gold. So you can actually just run into the tower and execute. Now this can be a little risky because I don't have any vision here, and I don't know if Evelyn could just pop up and get the free kill. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to walk into the tower, because look how these would catch about right here, where the cannon would actually stay alive as well. So we're going to walk in, and we're going to grab all this turret, the minion aggro, so that these guys can walk in and hit the tower, and we're just going to execute. It's going to take a little bit longer of a back, unfortunately, but this actually allows us, when we spawn back up, you'll see what this does. So by taking this, we're going to die here. But we pulled these minions so that our wave could crash, and now we fast forward a bit, and this is the wave that I get to come back to. A wave that's pushing into me that I can freeze while having just this massive lead, where this forces him to try to shove it, or else I can freeze it for as long as I want. So now he's in a tough spot, and I can kind of just take this wave. Beautiful, I got most of this wave. I think I lost like 2 minions, and that's it. And now I got this freeze going, and now I can look for a kill and be aggressive. So that's a little bit more to do with just laning in general than just Aatrox, but it's a good rule of thumb. If you ever see the opportunity to go for that, it's really good. So we get the slide parry there. Now, what I want to see is basically where his E cooldown is, right? So he Qs, and here, notice how even though we got the stun, watch this, because he didn't E. We didn't make sure his E was down here. We just have a massive lead. We know we can kill him, but notice his E was still up, and watch how fast he's able to get away, actually. So we get the slide parry, and we're quick with the ulti, boom, boom, and we get 1, 2, but he's just so much faster. So I have to use my flash to actually make sure I can get the extra movement speed from that side-facing vital. If that vital's not there, I don't get this kill, though. That's a little bit of that RNG luck, right? We get that one lucky vital. But you'll notice my move speed right now within my duelist stance is 468, and then his 464 with his dash. And it goes down a little bit, right? But once I lose my ulti, mine goes down to 423, 380. So while we're in the ulti, we're about the same speed, but right when he clicks it, he's just that little bit faster, and when he uses his E, it's really hard to keep up, because you only have a certain amount of time to get all 4 vitals off, so we want to get them off as quick as possible. I don't know why that flash looks like that in the replay, but we got a flash to actually hit that next vital so we can get the movement speed to chase him down. But when we're this ahead, it's a little bit different, because, you know, we can just kill him, but we really want to be looking out for that E. So basically, that's the laning phase, right? There's nothing that he can do anymore. Now we can just kind of like do whatever we want. And when it comes down to team fights, Aatrox is always going to be useful because he has 4 different area of effect CCs with his Q and his W. So we always need to be careful and make sure that Aatrox isn't able to roam and get kills. But notice how when we have this type of lead, we're consistently punishing him for ever trying to get CS, right? So that's the biggest thing, is always trying to punish whenever he wants to get CS, because now we can kill him pretty quickly because we're so ahead. So now that we have this lead, we want to keep this lead, and the way to keep that lead is to keep that pressure on him. And notice how he used his E there. That's what I'm talking about. Uses the E to dodge the stun. And you're going to notice that more often than not as you get into like higher elos, that most Aatroxes are only going to use their Q like that if they have their E up and they can dodge. And as the cooldown gets shorter, it's a little bit easier for them to get away. And it's a lot harder to stun as well. Especially with the W. I never tried to actually hit the W stun, the little zone that pulls you back. Because typically, you're not going to be able to stun him because he just has his E. Wherever you put your parry, he's just going to E out of it. So that's a perfect example of a dive right there that we got onto the Aatrox with our lead. Now he uses all of his abilities to clear the wave. We kind of just wait it out. And then we're going to slide parry into him to slow his movement speed. So even if he flashes, it's going to be hard for him to get away. So he had really nowhere to go. You know, the parry slows movement speed for 2 seconds by 50%. So he's really not going anywhere once we hit the parry. So basically, this game is over, I'd say. Right, so looking at the team fights now that we have an Aatrox that's 1 and 4 who wasn't able to do anything, we have the option of, since we have such a lead, we can play backline and just go for the backline fights, or we can peel off the Aatrox. And here, I just go straight in and go for the kill on the Draven. That was 5 and 2 because we definitely want to get him shut down. And this is where the game is basically over. We get a triple kill. All right, so this is the second game I played here. Doing the same thing as I did the game prior, building up a wave, looking for a dive with the Ignite. Especially in this lane because he has TP as well. So, you know, we're taking the trades. We're using the Ignite early. Not trying to kill him. Not trying to kill him, right? We don't need to. Now we've got low H. He's got low HP. We can push this wave in, and now we can look for a kill, right? Get his W out. He still has his Q. I don't have parry, so it's a little scary. And now we look for the kill once he's used everything. And so this one ends up being a little, not the greatest, because we died to the minions. And I remember this, I didn't think about it. The minions got me. We could have completely walked away and we would have been fine. But we did get a successful tower dive there. So once again, we're going to be going Gore Drinker. Notice how I'm doing the same thing as I did last game. We are slow pushing, looking for trades as the wave pushes. So really just last hitting these minions, not trying to shove it too hard or anything like that. I know that if I can get a good parry off that, I can get a good trade and then look for a dive again. So that's what we're doing. Just last hitting and trying to punish him for going for any type of minions if we can make him E forward and try to get a slide parry off or anything like that. So we're really just keeping it slow, looking for any trades that we can, trying not to lose any HP. And then in this situation, we back because we don't know where Udyr is. And now we're coming back to lane. And this is just good wave management as well, where we're just putting the pressure on him. And in this situation, we have Ignite up again, so we can look for a kill. So now we're trying to be a little aggressive, trying to threaten a freeze on the wave and make him wonder if the wave is going to get frozen. Does he need to fight? What does he need to do? He uses the W, so we're going to be looking for any time that he uses his E. Now, here, we actually didn't get the stun, but since we have Ignite, it feels way more comfortable to go for the kill. Not afraid of the tower, we just go for it. That's perfect. Get the kill, and now we're actually going to recall because we got more gold to spend. Wave is shoving towards us. We don't need to waste our time because we don't have teleport, we have Ignite. We need to make sure that we have our HP bar as high as possible. We just got to kill, we can back, get some more gold, and then come back and catch this lane right here. We're going to lose a couple, but that's okay because we want to come back into the lane and have control of it. But if we try to shove that wave is too big for us to actually shove into the tower. And then he's going to come back to lane. We're going to be like 300 HP, and then we risk dying, especially with him having flash up as well. So right there, too, we noticed that he used all of his Qs on the wave, and that is just a green light to go right in. So I think that we actually flash here because of the teleport, and we want to kill this guy as quick as possible so that we can get the kill, which we do. That's perfect. Boom. But basically, it's just very, very familiar as to the Riven lane, right? We're looking for the cooldowns to be used, and then that's when we go in for the kill. The E is the biggest thing. We want to make sure the E is down, bait the E out a bit, and never get hit by the third Q either. That's the maximum damage. And also in teamfights, you can always use Aatrox's Q as a way to stun. Just make sure you're very careful. Never get hit by that third Q. That is going to be the most damage. But notice even here, the easiest thing for me to actually see and get is his Q. So we actually wait it out. Boom. We get the stun there. And we end up winning this fight. But basically, after looking at both these lanes, you get a general idea how to play against Aatrox in lane and throughout the game. If you get that lead in lane, you're going to be able to take him at any point in the game. So that's the biggest thing, is winning the lane, denying CS, punishing the Aatrox for CSing, making sure that his E and bone plating are down when you go for the kill, and also never getting hit by the third Q. So hopefully this matchup guide helps you guys in your lanes against Aatrox. I wish you guys the best of luck in your climb, and until next time, peace out. Goodbye.